Hello friends, today I am going to be explain you in detail about folds. See what is fold. Before going towards the definition, just understand what is a fold and how it is formed. Basically, Earth is made up of horizontal layer. This horizontal layer because of impact of compressive pressure, and this compressive pressure develop internally to the Earth because of tectonic plates movement, and this because of this compressive pressure, these horizontal layer get turned and form a wave-like structure, and this wave-like structure we call as fold. This wave-like pattern of the structure develop on the rock surface, or basically in developing the sedimentary rock. So this structure is called as fold, and this whole activity is called as faulting. Again, understand properly once again. See, fold may be defined as undulation or bend or curvature developed in the rock of the crust as a result of traces to which these rocks have been subjected to form time to time in the past history of the earth. See, this is the horizontal bed get compressed due to compressive press and form a wave-like structure. This wave-like structure we call it as an fold, and then this whole process we call as an folding. See, development of the fold. This fold may be developed in any type of rock, maybe any shape and geometry ranging from a simple arc, bend or downward curvature to completely overturned flexure. Any type of rock of only a sedimentary rock. Fold appears only in a sedimentary rock, doesn't appear in a metamorphic and igneous rock. The ultimate shape and extent of the fold depend upon the number of factors like nature, magnitude, and the direction of and duration for which these factors act upon the rock, and also the nature of the rock being affected. See, the ultimate shape and extent of the fold is totally depend upon the nature and magnitude and direction and duration for which the force act upon the rock. Means duration of the force, nature of the rock, and direction of the force, everything which impact on the formation of the fold. See, the next, the process of development of fold in the rock is called as folding. So whole process of development of fold is called as folding. It is very slow geological process and indicated an effort of the rock in a particular environment to adjust themselves to the changing force field operating on within the around them. It is a very slow geological process, not a very fast process, and it indicate that the rock can sustain or remain at sustain the particular load or changing environment in the field. Folding is a ductile type deformation experienced by the rock compared to the brittle deformation where the rock actually get broken and displaced when traced. Folding is ductile type of deformation. Here rock not doesn't get completely break, but doesn't come to their original process when the trace is released. So folding is a ductile type. So part of the fold, see here, see horizontal layer, rock get bend and form a wave-like structure. So this wave-like structure we call as fold, and the part of the fold. See, this is the first flakes and this is the second flakes of the fold, and this flakes is called as limb of the fold. And there are two type of the flakes present in the fold. These two flakes are present, not type, these two flakes are present in the fold. These are the sides or flanks of the fold. Individually fold will have minimum two limbs, but when the folds occur in a group, as they are very often do, middle limbs will be common to adjacent fold. See, this is the fold, and this is these two flanks we call as the limb. When the fold occur adjacent to each other, that time middle limb is common. See, this is limb is common for this fold also, this limb common with this fold, means both folds have a one limb. So when the fold occur in a group or as often do, the middle limb will be common to adjacent fold. The next is a hinge. See, this is the fold and the maximum curvature point is called as hinge point. This is the maximum curvature point called as hinge point, in which one limb end and another limb start from that point. See, this is the layers of different rock, and it get bend or form a wave-like structure. This is called as fold. And this is the older formation and this is the younger formation because it is present below and above formation called as younger formation. And this is the first hinge point, this is second hinge point, this is the whole structure in one rock. See, this is the another hinge point. So all hinge points joined by the line, this is called as hinge line. When the rock occur in sequence and their all hinge points are joined together, then make a line is called as hinge line. See, this is the fold and this is the hinge point, and number of hinge point here joined by the one line called as hinge line. And this hinge line also called as axis of the fold or axial line. And if we trace this axial surface up to depth, then this is called as axial surface. If you trace this axial line up to certain depth, then this is called as axial surface. See here, axial surface. When the hinge line is traced, hinge line also called as axis of the fold. When the hinge line is traced throughout the depth of the folded sequence, a surface is obtained which may be planar or non-planar. It referred to as axial surface. So this is the hinge line. After hinge line trace up to certain depth, then this is called as axial surface. And this hinge line also called as axis of the fold. When the hinge line is traced throughout the depth of the folded sequence, a surface is obtained which may be planar or non-planar. It refers to as a axial surface. Then axial plane. Axial plane is imaginary plane that passes through all the point of maximum curvature, inclined or horizontal in nature. A fold surface is a planar in nature, otherwise it is in a folded sequence. It may be vertical, is sometimes called as planar fold. If it is axial, it's called as non-planar fold. So this is the fold, and if axis is a vertical, then this is called as planar fold, and if axis is axial, if axis is axial means horizontal, then this is called as non-planar fold. Remember one thing, this is the fold, this is the hinge point, and number of hinge point joined together, then this is called as hinge line. Hinge line also called as axis of the fold. When we trace this hinge line up to there, then this is called as axial surface of that fold or axial plane of that fold. See, this is the diagram. See, this is hinge line and this is the axial plane, and this is limbs of the fold, and this area called as hinge zone. Then axis of the fold. Axis of the fold means it is simply defined as line draw parallel to the hinge line of the fold. A more precise definition of an axis of the fold will be the line representing the intersection of the axial plane of the fold with any bed of the fold. So axial fold is nothing but line, hinge line. Plunge of the fold. Angle of inclination of the fold axis with the horizontal as measured in vertical plane is termed as plunge of the fold. See, this is the surface and this is the fold and this is the vertical plane. So making angle with the surface, this is called as plunge of the fold or angle of the fold. The angle of inclination of the fold axis, angle of inclination of the fold axis with the horizontal measured in a vertical plane, this is termed as the plunge of the fold. This is angle called as plunge of the fold. See next, crest and top. Maximum curvature, crest and top. See the maximum curvature and see minimum curvature or depression part. See uplift part and depression part of the this wave-like structure called as crest and top. This is the uplifted part and this is depressed part of the fold. Most fold are variation of two general form, up arc and down arc bend. The line running through the highest point in up arc fold define its crest, and corresponding line running through a lowest point in a down arc fold make its trough. The crest and trough may or may not coincide with the axis of the fold. See, then classification of the fold, and the first type of the fold is anticline and the syncline. See here, horizontal layer, see here properly, this is one layer, this is the second layer, this is one is the third layer. These all layer get compressed and the folded structures are developed. See, so anticline and syncline structure is developed. So this rock is called as anticline and this is rock showing the syncline structure. This rock showing anticline, this rock showing syncline. See, this is syncline and this is anticline structure, in which two limbs are moving away from each other, and in synclines moving limbs are coming towards each other. See, this is the core part, hinge part called as core part, and this is the core part of the syncline. Remember one thing, convex upward called as anticlines and convex downward structure called as syncline structure. This is the first classification of the fold, anticline and syncline. Anticline means convex upward and syncline means convex downward. See, this is the older younger formation and this is the older formation, and this is the core part of the fold, anticline fold and syncline fold. So core part of the anticline fold consists older formation and core part of the syncline fold consists younger formation. See, this is the red line showing younger formation, blue line showing older formation. And see, this is core part of anticline, this is core part of syncline. See, the core part of syncline consists younger formation and core part of anticline consists the older formation. So anticline and syncline, these are two major rock. And extending high kilometer, then this anticline syncline called as anticlinorium and synclinorium fold. See, the first classification of the fold is anticline fold and syncline. See, anticline are defined as those fold which the strata are up are. This is, that is, this became convex upward. The geological older rock occupied the position in the interior of the fold, and oldest being positioned at the core of the fold. Older present at the core and younger present at the top in the anticline fold. And the fold and the youngest forming the outermost flanks. The limb dip away from each other at the crest in the simplest cases. Then syncline formation. Syncline, the strata are down up, and that is, this became convex downward. The geological younger rock occupy position in the core of the fold and older rock form the outer of the flanks. Provide the normal order of superposition is not disturbed. In the simple cases, in syncline, limb dip towards common the center. Main portion, main thing is remember only one thing. This is anticline and this is syncline. Limbs are moving away from each other, and here limbs are moving towards the center. This is core part, in which older formation present at the core formation, younger at top, and in syncline younger present at the core region and the older present at the outer region of the fold. This is both anticline and syncline. Anticline and syncline cover more 1000 kilometer in area in one structure. Then this is called as anticlinorium and synclinorium. Then this is the diagram of anticline and the syncline rock. See, the next is a position of the axial plane. Depending upon the nature and direction of the traces, the axial plane in resulting fold may be acquire any position in space. That is, it may be vertical, inclined, even horizontal. Position of the axial plane may be either vertical, either inclined, or either horizontal. Following main type are recognized on the basis of position of the axial plane in resulting fold. See, asymmetrical fold and symmetrical fold. These are position of the axial plane. See, this is the fold and this is the axial line, and this is the axial plane, or also called as axial surface. Depend upon this position, either vertical, either inclined, or either horizontal. Following classification are take place. This is called a symmetrical fold. Another type, symmetrical fold. See, this is the surface area. Your axis is a vertical, and limbs are both have a size is equal, and both are dipping in opposite direction. Both are dipping in opposite direction. Both have a same size and making angle with the surface, which is plunge angle, which is equal, and they are exactly mirror image of each other, and axis is a vertical. This is called as symmetrical fold. But in unsymmetrical fold, axis of the fold is inclined, and limbs are not in equal size, and dipping angle is also not equal, so both are not mirror image of the each other. So this is the symmetrical fold and asymmetrical fold. See, these are also called as normal or upright fold. In such a fold, the axial plane is essentially vertical. The limbs are equal in length and dip equally in opposite direction. It may be anticline or syncline. When classified, may be described as symmetrical anticline, syncline the case may be. Not all time the symmetrical fold is anticlinal, it might be a syncline too. It's showing mirror image of each other and dipping angle are same. All those fold anticline or syncline in which the limbs are unequal in length, these dip unequally on either side from the hinge line are termed as asymmetrical fold. Symmetrical and asymmetrical folds are here. Then next is the overturn fold. See, overturn fold is what? These are the fold with inclined axial plane in which both limbs are dipping essentially in the same general direction. The amount of dip of the two limbs may or may not be the same. Overfolding indicates very served degree of folding. One of two limbs comes to occupy the present position after having suffered a rotation through more than 90 degree. Other limb is known as normal limb. In certain case, both the limbs of fold may get overturned because of very high lateral compression. See, this is the fold and in which both limbs are equal and one limbs get more overturned after 90 degree of rotation. One limbs get their original position. This is type of fold called as overturn fold. It may be originally either anticline or syncline, but its extreme compression from opposite side result in the bringing the limbs so close to each other that usual dip condition may get reversed. Anticlinal limbs dip toward each other and syncline limbs dip away from each other. Such type of fold is commonly referred to as fan fold. In such a fold, anticline tops are said to have opened up into the broad and fan shape outline due to intense compression the all over region. See, this is the overturn fold in which one limb get more overturn. It may be anticline or syncline. Here is high compression and this overturn, then after overturn limb get their original position after 90 degree of the rotation. Because of high compressive pressure, these in which this type of structure develop opposite to the anticline and syncline. See, this is the overturn limb. Because of high compression of this overturn limb, this type of structure is developed which is completely opposite in character to the anticline. So what is the opposite to character in anticline? How? Because in anticline the limbs are moving away from each other, but here limbs are moving coming towards each other, and in synclines limbs are coming towards each other, but in this condition limbs are moving away from each other. So direction of the limbs or movement of the limbs in anticline and these highly compressive overturn fold are different or opposite to each other. So this highly compressive overturn fold called as fan fold. See, this is anticline in which limbs are moving away from each other. In synclines it is coming towards each other, and in fan flow in anticline it is coming towards each other, and in syncline it is moving away from each other. That is basic difference of anticline, synclines and a fan folds. See the next, isoclinal fold. These are the group of fold in which all axial plane are essentially parallel, meaning that all the component limbs are dipping equal amount. They may be made up of series of anticline and syncline. So this is the fold in which number of anticline and synclines are present and all axial planes are parallel to each other, and all limbs are also equal in size and dipping equal in amount. This is called as isoclinal fold. See, this is the in which all limbs are dipping in equal in amount and all axial planes are parallel to the each other. Then this is called as isoclinal fold. Then recombinant fold. See, this type of structure we call as recombinant fold in which this limbs is called as overturn limb and this limb is called as normal limb, and this core portion is made up of igneous or metamorphic rock, and this root zone portion also consists sedimentary rock. This is called as overturn limb in which one limb is very wider and another limb is very short. See information about the recombinant fold. These may be described as an extreme type of overturn fold in which the axial plane acquire almost horizontal attitude. In such a fold, one limb comes to lie exactly under the other limbs. So they drill the hole and dug at the surface, and in the upper limb passes through the lower limb. If we drill at particular position, we pass to the one limb, we will get the second limbs too. The lower limb is often called as inverted limb or reverse limb. See, this is the horizontal limb and this is called as inverted limb. Other part of the recommended fold are sometimes named as follow: R which zone. Other part of the recommended fold are sometimes called as R with zone of the curvature corresponding to the crest and trough in the upright fold. The shell, which basically this part consists which type of rock. This is made up of shell, which is outer zone made up of mostly sedimentary formation. See, this is the rock, and in which this portion is made up of the shale and outer portion is made up of sedimentary formation, and inner is another portion present is core which is the innermost part of the fold and may be made up of mostly crystalline igneous rock or metamorphic rock. The root zone, which is the basal part of the fold, may or may not be easily traceable. Once traced, it can throw the light whether the fold was originally anticline or syncline. The further inversion. See, this is the recommended fold in which this area is made up of the shale. Outer portion is made up of this portion is made up of shale, and this is made up of the different sedimentary rock. And here portion is called as core. Core is made up of igneous. This portion is root zone. If we drill into one limb, we will get pass into the second limb in this fold. And if you trace the root zone area, then we can conclude this is anticline or syncline portion of this recommended fold. Then next is a conjugate fold. In certain case, pair of folds that are apparently related to each other may have mutually inclined axial plane. Such folds are described as conjugated fold. Individual folds themselves may be anticline, syncline, and their modification. See, number of inclined axis folds are here present. Then this type of folding called as conjugated folding. Box fold. Box fold is similar to box fold in which two hinge zone are present. See, this is first hinge zone, second, and first and second. Two hinge zone present in one fold. This is called as box fold in which a hinge line is flat. It may be described as a special type of fold with exceptionally flat top and steeply inclined limb, almost forming three sides of rectangle. Crest and tops are flat, showing the hinge point and two hinge points. So this is the crest and top part, also called as hinge zone, are flat and showing the two hinge points in a box fold. See, this is the box fold. These two hinge line and crest part or either in a top part, which are the flat. Sherwan fold. It is very sharp fold. See, this type of folds are occur called as Sherwan fold. Fold with a sharp gray center with straight limb and typically develop in fine grained argillaceous rock. In straight limb and the sharp crest part and the trap part. This is called as Sherwan fold. This is sharp crest and trap part. Structural terrace. It is formed in dipping strata locally assume horizontal appear like terraces. See, this is like a fold structure developed in this called as structural terraces fold. Open fold. It is fold showing uniform thickness of the folded bed without thinning and thickening of the limb. And closed fold or tight fold. It is fold which has undergoes intense deformation, therefore show rock flowage within the more incompetent bed, causing the thinning and thickening of the limb. This is called as closed fold, and open fold is called as anticline fold and syncline fold. So what? This is the fold, uniform thickness of the folded bed without thinning and thickness. So thickness of the fold are uniform. Undergoes intense deformation, therefore show rock flowage within the more incomparable, causing the thinning and thickening of the limb. Thinning and thickening of the limbs. Some limbs are thick and others are thin. Others are thin. This is called as close fold. Drag fold. See, this is the strong fold in which weak folds. This is a weak surface in which strong fold are passed. So small crumble like structure develop. This is called as drag fold. Main component means strong gets slide past and the incompetent weak bed. Minor fold known as drag fold develop with the incompetent strata. The minor fold are produced due to the drag effect of the bed and slipping past each other. Then non-plunging fold and plunging fold. The attitude of the fold axis and help to define the fold as a non-plunging and plunging. Attitude of the fold axis. See, this is the fold and this is the fold axis. Attitude on this axis Fold are classified non-plunging fold. Fold having horizontal axis, it's called as non-plunging fold. If horizontal axis, then we can see this is the surface area, and here we see this type of fold. We cannot see it like a vertically. This is called as non-plunging fold. Then plunging fold axis is inclined horizontal, called as plunging fold. Having axis is inclined or similar somewhat horizontal, called as plunging fold. Doubly plunging fold, we fold which has reverse their direction of plunge within the limits of fold region are termed as doubly plunging fold. See, this is the non-plunging and plunging fold. See, axis is horizontally, so not make axis horizontal, then doesn't make any angle surface, then this is called as non-plunging. If axis is vertical, then this is called as plunging fold. Axis vertical or inclined called as plunging fold because it make the angle with the ground level. If axis is horizontal, then axis and ground level doesn't make any angle, and this is called as non-plunging fold. See, plunging anticline, plunging syncline. See, this is the plunging anticline and plunging syncline. See, oldest formation present at the core portion of the anticline and youngest formation present at the syncline portion of the core. Thank you for watching.